Hi guys, the Metal Maniac back again, and in this video I'm going to rank every single Judas Priest album from worst to best. This is kind of a shorter video considering that Judas Priest only has 6 live albums. But without further ado, let's just get into it. So, number 6 is Unleashed in the East. Not only do I think this is the worst Judas Priest live album, but I consider it the single worst metal album of all time. People praise this one, I don't know why, but to me, they ruin every single song on here. Really the only song on here that, that sounds somewhat good is, probably The Ripper, but even then, it's still pretty awful. They literally speed up the songs so much to the point where even Rob Halford can't keep up with the vocals because of the speed of the songs. Not only do they speed everything up, they completely butcher a lot of the choruses in these songs, again because of the speed. Or Rob Halford sings them in a very weird way that just doesn't fit the song. For example, Tyrant. The way he sings the chorus bits and stuff is just very bad, and he just changes it up, but it just doesn't work. It just sounds awful. And one of the most iconic things about the chorus of the song is the sort of back and forth sort of chorus bit, where he sings he says Tyrant, and then in the background it also says Tyrant, and then he says Tyrant again. In the background it gets louder and louder and louder, and it builds off that, and that aspect is just missing from this song, missing from the chorus bit, and just the way, that other bit, the more melodic section later on, is just ruined. And yeah, just the chorus things, they change, they speed up, does not sound good. Again, a key problem is the speed. They speed everything up way too much, and it just sounds awful. And the overall production is, well, not bad, it's definitely lacking, and could have been a lot better. Yeah, I don't understand why people love this album. I consider it the worst Judas Priest live album, and the single worst metal album of all time, and it's at number 6 because of basically all the problems it has. Alright, number 5. Number 5 is A Touch of Evil Live. This one kind of came out of nowhere, really. It wasn't really, announced, or at least they didn't, promote this live album very well, or very much. It was just one of those things that just kind of one day popped out of nowhere. I believe there was some promotion for it, but very few and far between, and it wasn't very widely sort of promoted, well. And this one's a very weird mixed bag of just songs and stuff. I mean, there's some really good performances on here. I think Hellrider, the Hellrider, this live version is way better than the studio version. Judas Rising is also pretty good. Death. This is really the only live album to feature a couple songs from Nostradamus. And this live version of Death is pretty cool. Touch of Evil Live, awesome, and Painkiller. But honestly, everything else on here kind of sounds a bit weird. I think it might be due to the production. The production is very odd. I mean, it's not bad, it's not good. It has a very odd sort of tuning to it. I don't know, it kind of feels a little bit too more or less digital, I guess. I don't know, it's just a very weird production, and certain songs just aren't... There are a couple songs on here that just aren't performed quite well. But yeah, I mean, not an absolute awful live album, but it definitely isn't, the best either. But yeah, that's at number 5. Alright, number 4 is Battle Cry. Another one, I mean, I guess this is a lot more well promoted than the previous one on my list. But it also is another mixed bag. You get some really good performances on here, like Hells of Valhalla, Victim Changes as well, Redeemer Souls, Painkiller. But then you get some other songs that, again, aren't really like, they don't sound good for some reason. I think Jawbreaker sounds a bit odd on this one, along with Devil's Child. But yeah, overall it's a mixed bag, but there is definitely some good stuff on here. Alright, number 3. Number 3 is Alive in London, the second and last live album from the Ripper era. Now, some of you may be surprised that this isn't, on my top 2, considering, for those of you who've been with the channel for a while know I love the Ripper stuff. And this is a very good live album, but it does have a small issue that on certain performances on here that I also have an issue with Demolition, and that certain songs are sung very gruffly when, like, there's a lot of time, or not a lot, but there are times on this album where certain songs where you would usually hear him hit high notes, especially on the album on the studio album versions. He doesn't. It's a bit more gruff. Now, I don't know if that's intentional or I don't know, but there are certain I don't know. There are certain ones where he just, for whatever reason, is kind of holding back and isn't giving his all. But again, there's a lot more on here that's good than bad. In fact, you get some songs on here that you never would hear live elsewhere, like Running Wild. Running Wild. I don't think there's another live album. No, none of these other live albums have Running Wild. At least, hold on. No, it's not on here, and it's not on, yeah, no. None of the other 6 live albums have Running Wild, which is pretty interesting. Pretty good to have, a live version of that, and Ripper sings it pretty good. Another one that's not really, a pretty rare live version, Feed on Me. United. United is another one. Sorry, I was looking at the track listing to see where I was at. United. I love that song. One of the most underrated Judas Priest songs. A live version of United, and it sounds great. Now, I do prefer the British Steel studio album version a bit more, but it's still great to hear a live version of that song, which, again, you don't really hear anywhere else. And then, of course, you get some really good songs. Now, like I said before, Demolition isn't really a good album, but it does have a couple of really good songs. You get a live version. You get live versions of some of the best songs on Demolition, actually. Hell is Home, which again, great song. Feed on Me. And is that it? Oh, wait. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. But, those 2 songs are great. Now, one thing I wish they had on here was a live version of Bloodsuckers, which would have sounded really cool live. But, like I said, there's some really good stuff on here, some not so good stuff. It's a mixed bag, but it's one of the better mixed bag type live albums. And then you get a really, but probably my favorite moment on here is, of course, the live version of Bloodstain. This version is actually really, really cool. Yeah, overall, one of the better mixed bag live albums, and there's definitely some really good stuff on here. Alright, number 2. Number 2 is the only one I have on vinyl, and that's Priest Live. This album gets looked over a ton, mainly because it's from the Turbo tour, and a lot of people don't like Turbo. I love Turbo, and again, just like with the previous live album, there's some stuff on here that you don't really hear live, besides on here. Of course, you get some, a couple, live versions of songs from Turbo, Out in the Cold. Probably, Out in the Cold, I'd say this live version is definitely a lot better than the studio version. Of course, you get, where is it? Yeah, Private Property, which is a good live version. Parental Guidance. Parental Guidance, really good. Not as good as the studio version, but still really good. But yeah, you get a couple Turbo tracks. Of course, you get a lot of stuff from Defenders of the Faith. But yeah, just a really good, solid live album. And also, this version of Breaking Law is probably my first or second favorite version of a little live version of that song. But yeah, just really great live versions, really great performances, and a very awesome and kind of underrated live album. Alright, number 1, my favorite Judas Priest live album ever, 98 Live Meltdown. And yeah, this is an original, 98 copy. I do have the version from the box set I got recently, but I like this case better because the case for the other one, you have to slip the disc out of like a pocket, and I don't like that design, but so I'm holding on to this one. Anyway, enough rambling. This is probably I'd say with Jugulator, probably the most underrated Judas Priest album. And yeah, you get some really amazing live tracks on here. Of course, some traditional ones like Hellion Electric Eye, Touch of Evil, Painkiller, Diamonds and Rust and stuff. But then you also get some really great live songs that, again, you don't really hear that much, like Bloodstained, Rapid Fire, Bullet Train, Death Row, Abductors. Yeah, also, I absolutely love the... wait, hold on, sorry, clicking the track listing. Wait. Hold on. No? Wait, hold on, give me a second. Oh, yeah, okay, sorry. I was looking at the wrong... I was looking at side 1. I was looking at... Sorry, CD 1 instead of CD 2. I was looking at the wrong thing. What I was gonna say is that this version of Living After Midnight is amazing. Sorry, I was looking for the track listing. I was looking for Living After Midnight, but I was looking at the wrong side. Sorry about that. But yeah, Living After Midnight, probably my favorite version of the song. And of course, probably the crowning jewel of this live album is the slowed down acoustic version of Diamonds and Rust. Now, I don't like the original version on Sin After Sin. I think speeding it up and making it a lot faster kind of ruins the overall tone and atmosphere of it. It does not work well as like a fast-paced type song. They did a very good thing about slowing it down, making it more acoustic sounding and just more dramatic and very almost melancholic in a way. I think it works a lot better like that, and I believe they actually play it that way. They've played it that way live ever since this live album. And yeah, it's just an amazing live album, and I absolutely love it. But yeah, it's at number 1. Alright, so that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.